So I did a vivid vision manifestation microdosing session with psilocybin, did zero point 0.2 of a gram, and went through a process of journaling and then creating a vision board. And for those who are watching the video, this is the vision board that I created. It would mean nothing to you. It looks like a bunch of random stuff. I've got like gigantic monkeys, brains, a bunch of quotes on there, pack of lions, and like just words and stuff. However, what was really insane that I want to talk about, just run you through the journal process, which I think was absolutely amazing, so that you guys have an idea of what to do, and also just talk about the benefits of microdosing, because I've microdosed a lot in 2024, like weekly I was microdosing, and the benefits of it are insane. And what's really cool is what happens when you microdose. You can read the book How to Change Your Mind, The New Science of Psychedelics by Michael Pollan, where they've got all the studies and the research behind what happens in your brain in regards to microdosing. And I just want to let you know that it's completely safe. There isn't any negative side effects that happen for your body, especially in regards to any toxicity, like, you drink alcohol, it's bad for your liver. With psilocybin, there's nothing bad at all that happens to you. You may feel nauseous and you may get sick. And the only time I would not recommend someone to take psilocybin, mushrooms, or even microdosing is when they're at, a panic attack, severe anxiety, or depression, because it kind of just lets you know what's happening behind the scenes, and not business stress, anxiety, and depression. If you've got business stress, anxiety, depression, most of the time, if you're taking psilocybin or microdosing, what's going to happen is you're going to go, oh, nothing's as bad as what it really seems and everything's okay. But when you take such a small amount, it's the same stimulus as having a coffee, essentially, like having a double shot coffee, and it's the same level of intensity. You're just like, woof, like let's go. You don't feel anything, you're not tripping out, you're not overly focused in a bunch of different areas. You just get locked in. And it was really cool because I went to this session that was hosted by conscious.mother. You can go follow her on Instagram. And I thought it was fantastic of how they facilitated it and just the process that they went through with having the microdosing as a tool. There was like 20 women there, and there was me and a friend, a guy, Sean, and we were the only dudes. And it was interesting because, in like my land, for who talk about mushrooms and talk about psychedelics and using those tools, is majority men. So it was really interesting being in a place where there was like 20 women and everyone's microdosing and getting focused and locked in, which was really, really cool. So they ran through a process of, a letting go process, like what do we want to let go of, what's our word for the year, and then categorizing our lives into certain areas, and then putting through like what we want to claim into those areas. And then we did a bucket list section where it's like, okay, what are the bucket list things that we want to have for the next year? Make sure that they happen. And then write a letter as if you've already had it. And then we go through and create a vision board where they have bunches of magazines, and they've got like these like glue sticks and these big boards that we go and stick everything on. And then what you're supposed to do is you take what you've learned and written down and then put it onto your board, which is really cool. And one of the things that I find so beneficial about the microdosing itself is you have this like level of focus where your brain and your mind starts to say things to you, and you're like, oh my goodness, that's a great idea, and that's a great idea, and this is fantastic, and I want to remember these, and I want to keep this idea. And if you're not writing it down and you're not creating something, then you lose it. I find like when you go and take and use psychedelics or microdosing, you can have the most profound ideas. But if you don't take action on those ideas and you don't write it down in the moment, it just goes away and it doesn't come back. So it was very interesting because it was a few days, and I went through and I wrote out all of my notes and made sure they were right. So it was really cool. I took photos of all my notes and not so much the vision board, but all my notes. And I put them into ChatGPT and I said, please write these all out. It got most of it right. So I got 70% of it right, but then it was good because I got to read through everything and structure it all. I got to retype the areas where it got wrong and put in little extra things that I would like to have when it comes into 2025. One of the amazing things about it, I think, was getting really clear of being like, okay, 2025, what do I want to bring forth to the world? So for the last 3 years working in Set the Standard and being a coach and running retreats and having the podcast and being in a relationship and all of that have been a really exciting 3 years. And then in this year for 2025, I'm like, okay, I really would like to, bring forth something that I'm really proud of in terms of, it might just be an upgrade in quality of something. It could be, do I shift my focus and bring something new out? Like what does the universe have in store for me? And what is the death process I'm supposed to go through in terms of getting rid of everything out the way so that I can, it's like getting rid of all the cars out the highway so I can just go down 100 mile an hour. So for me, it's like, okay, that's the question. And I was sitting in, it's like, what do I want to bring forth in 2025 so that by the time I get to 2030, I'm feeling cream of the crop awesome. So it was really cool getting to like go through all of my goals and just looking at professional goals in regards to, putting some numerical values down in regards to YouTube, Instagram, podcast listens. So I kind of started in there and being like, okay, I want to have like 250,000 subscribers, 1 million on YouTube and 600,000 followers on Instagram. So these are some of the goals that like I really try to see myself, and they were coming through to me whilst I was on like microdosing, and I'm like, what feels good? 5 years from now, like, what's going to happen and what feels really good for you. So it wasn't just getting those goals, but it was understanding how I want to get to those goals. Community involvement was going to Burning Man, doing some volunteer work, getting involved in some wealth growth and business growth clubs, being involved in medicine tribe involvement, because I just love plant medicine and like the conscious, sort of the hippie vibes. I went to an ecstatic dance on the weekend and they had all the hippie vibes, but when I go into those places, I'm like, I sort of judo chop, like get in there and put up my guard a little bit, because when it comes to spiritual egoists, I don't want anyone hugging me, trying to give me sound healing in the moment, coming into my ear, being like, oh my gosh, you need a hug because you might be feeling a little stressed and overwhelmed. You need sound healing. I'm not about that vibe. I don't like that full-on hippie vibe. That's for me personally. However, being in places where you are doing conscious work and there are, I would say, people with hippie energy. So when you're in those spaces, I'm like, you guys are the best in here because they always express themselves bigger than everyone else, which gives you permission to express yourself too. So I'm like, absolutely fantastic. But in terms of getting close to someone, I'm like, I don't want any of the full juju. I just want the bigness rubbing off on me, not the sound healing in the side of the ear. Finances was like growing my stocks, growing my house portfolio, getting some, I reckon getting 1 to 2 unsexy businesses, like buying a laundromat or something like that would be absolutely fantastic to manage, or going into something with my dad. I was thinking about that because he's got like some business stuff that he's doing at the moment. And I'm like, this would be really cool. It was to, in 5 years, save $1 million, to just have $1 million in a bank account and join a wealth club, right? And then I got my monthly recurring revenue amount. I'm not going to share that, what I wanted, because that, like, I had to sit there and like, oh, what feels good, and all these numbers are rushing through my head in terms of what I wanted to do, and it kind of hit me, and I'm like, cool, this is what I want to hit actually in a year. So by the end of the year, it's like, it's my main goal is to hit this in terms of revenue and financial. Lifestyle is definitely spending some time in Austin. Like for me, the main one was spending time in Austin, going to a religious camp and studying with some elders and practicing boxing. So that for me was really cool. Personal development, to hit a 7-day fast and run a personal event with 100 people. So that's within the next couple of years. Ideally, I'd like to do it on this year. And then one thing that come through, which is really cool, was to have a celebrity reach out to me to come onto my podcast, right? Because when I'm podcasting, I'm going crazy. I'm messaging everyone like, oh, let's do this, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, I'd really like to be in the position where my podcast quality is so good, and everyone who's listened to it, you guys, thank you so much for listening. I really like this. Like, I'm getting so much value out of Corey's podcast and what we're doing and teaching, that I know we kind of decide together, like all of us, that like there's a couple of celebrities that want to come out, and hopefully there's a friend of a friend somewhere that's like, oh my gosh, we have to get this A-lister onto Corey's podcast so Corey can interview them and try to dissect their brain. So I'm manifesting like a Chris Hemsworth, Zac Efron kind of person to get on the podcast and interview the hell out of them, especially in regards to conscious speak and psychology and philosophy. Like I really want to like get into someone. So that's a huge goal of mine that I have out there. But for me, it signals you got a really high quality podcast if someone's reaching out. Like, so not you reaching out, them reaching out, and go like, hey, I saw your stuff, I'd like to be on your podcast. And I was like, oh, that's a good one. I got a photo of it on my vision board. Jared Leto's there with the camera, like, I'm like, Jared Leto, let's go, bro. Health, hit a marathon, 10% body fat, and get a national bodybuilding title, and hit 600 testosterone. So I've been pretty close. I've hit like 500 testosterone this year. Well, last year, 2024, so I want to boost that by 100. Spirituality, which is like detaching myself from shutting down and closing off. So anytime energy where I feel that happening, so that I can remain open. And then, relationship goals for me is a home, a wife, and a child. Like I want to have, within 5 years, I want to have a kid. Like at least 5 years. I'm like, I want to meet someone, get them pregnant, and just give my love to a child. Like I'm so excited for that. Selfish excitement. I'm like, that kid's gonna be the best personal development thing that I ever do. So I'm excited to have a kid to learn more about myself. That's why we do it, right? My having kids are quite selfish. Things to let go of. I think this is really cool. And I hope as I'm speaking, I'm hoping that you guys are taking this in. So as I'm talking, I hope you guys are like, oh, this is a goal here, this is a goal here. And I also just want to invite you guys, if there's any goals that I say that hit you, or things that I'm letting go of, or any goals that I have, and you go, oh, I'd like to do that too. I want to have the same goal as Corey. Good. Have the same goal as me. I'm someone who's like, I'm so encouraging of everyone, inspiring each other, that I don't want you guys to think, oh, just because Corey's put this goal and this, he's done this microdosing thing and he's gotten like really clear, that you can't have the same goal as me. A lot of us are allowed to have the same goals for each other. So I just want to preface that and just say any goal that I have or anything I'm letting go of, you go, I want to do that too. Go absolutely nuts, right? It's the best. We're all here to support each other. So things I'm letting go of. So it was really cool because one of my friends, Crystal, she's an amazing coach. She was like, oh, let's put our bucket lists into categories. So we picked physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. And this is the letting go of. The bucket list, yes, financial, professional, build and create experiences, achieve and have, and learning and mastery. They're really cool for the bucket list. But for the letting go practice, it was things physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Some of mine blurred across, but essentially mine was tension in business in regards to admin, finances, any sort of fat on my body. I'm lean, I have like a 6-pack all year round, but I'm like, I want to crisp that up. So I've been doing the 6-pack process, which is a course inside Set the Standard, and running through the principles of that. Whilst I'm traveling, I've been hitting it at around 70%, and I've lost a bit and then like maintained it. And I'm like, all right, we've got locked in for a couple of weeks here for the next month. Let's go. Fake energy. So this is like, not in terms of fakeness from other people, I mean legitimate, like caffeine stimulation. Tension in breakups, so any sort of tension that I'm feeling there, I want to completely let that go. Giving too much away to dating apps or anything like that. Unnecessary emails coming into my email account. People who just drain energy in general. My car, I want to get rid of my ute because I found out it was like attachment that I had to my father because he gave it to me at a really good price. I don't know, like 7-8 years ago. I'm like, I need to get rid of that so that I'm in the space to bring something new in to my space. And then any sort of debt, whether it be tax debt, any debt, phone debt, like whatever it is, I just want to like make sure that instead of debt, it's in pure abundance. Mental for me is having not good enough energy in business, making sure that, doing leads and sales calls and appointment setting to bring people in to Set the Standard, the energy is shifted in that one. So for me, which I thought was really cool, is I'm like, okay, I want to make this like actually invite only and put it in a way where, every single month in terms of people coming in, we actually reject a couple of people because if they don't meet a certain standard criteria. So yesterday I went through and started building out how I would like people to be inducted inside Set the Standard, because I really want like 100 of like the best people, and I want a wait list of people coming in because our community is insane. Like not just the coaching and the programs that we teach, like the community itself is absolutely fantastic, and the people that we've worked with is just immense, and everyone follows us now Set the Standard page. So we have this group and like this tribe of like amazing people. So when anyone comes and joins Set the Standard, they don't get access to just the guys in the middle. They get access to our whole community and past community and people who we're coming into the future. I'm like, oh, it's actually really powerful to be a part of that, because we're helping people create businesses, finding partners, and all these ideas getting stimulated. And like, this is a really good place to be, and I want to make that more protective and make it more of like a club to get into. So I've been thinking about that a lot, and I'm getting so excited to create that feeling for people, being like, oh yeah, like I'm in Set the Standard. I'm like, fuck everywhere else, you know what I mean? And have some guidelines around, we must do this, or we have like consequences, because I believe in discipline and I believe in taking responsibility. That's like, if we're not showing up, like, or we don't complete something, it's like, oh, we have a week ban, 2-week ban, something like that. Just be like, oh, damn it. And creating that for men, because I think having that feeling of, sometimes losing and failing and then taking responsibility for that is so powerful. So that was really cool in terms of the energy for how we like attract people in. Overgiving and doing too much at once, unnecessary complexity. My mind goes very complex sometimes, so get rid of that. Emotionally, it's just fear, worry, unworthiness, self-doubt, decision fatigue, and uncertainty. Bang. And spiritually is unhealthy family dynamics, my fear of death, that just comes up, oh my goodness, sometimes in the middle of the night, like, whoa, I'm gonna die one day. Then your brain goes crazy. I know some of you people relate to that one, and it's like this, oh, I know I'm not doing enough energy, so I'm gonna like let that go. Ego, entitlement, laziness, lack of focus, distractions, shyness, and not being playful. So those were the things that come up for me in regards to spirituality and being able to, you know, let that go and give that to something else so that I can allow what's trying to come through me, come through. Bucket list. So for me, in this one, financial was actually having something that compounds every month. So I want to make it this much more every single month until I hit my goal. So it's like not just a financial goal. It's like, you know, this thing's going to compound. What I found out for me, which is really important in my business, is having a small front end team of people doing outreach. So that's like really important for me because my business is focused off conversations, right? So like we're having a conversation right now. So, and the more conversations that people have, the more trust that they build with me when they're like, wow, I trust Corey. I like his skills. I like what he does. I know that he's got all these systems and he teaches this stuff, but you know, there's doubt sometimes, and if someone's not vulnerable enough or don't gel with you or vibe with you, they're not going to trust you in regards to guiding them to find their purpose, get fit, you know, move through the struggles in a relationship, you know, actually make a decision on their business and get outside their comfort zone and do something that they've never done before, which is making them, you know, sort of freak out or let go of shame or guilt, something that's holding them back when they're leading and managing a team. So like we focus a lot on those things, and they produce crazy results for people. And some people are scared of the power. Some people are scared of trusting someone else with their power and letting go with it. So it's a very delicate position for me to be in when I'm holding that part of someone. You know, I have to be very delicate in terms of like, you know, if you are holding water in your hands and you move them a little bit and it all just leaks out, like you don't want to do that. So for me, I would like a team of people who are actively outreaching people so that I can have more phone conversations with people, so I can talk and I can get to know them better on a personal level. So they're like, all right, in terms of transformation, I trust Corey, let's go. So for me, like that's like a bucket list. I'd love to have that because that gives me like back all my time essentially. Committing to a 20% of income investment strategy. So taking 20% of like all the money that I make for me and investing it, which I think is really cool, and having a saving goal every month, which is what will be the 20%. Professional goal is, my big one that come through was having an A-list celebrity on the podcast. I think that was like really, really cool, and them reaching out. Building and creating. What I was thinking is we've just created a journal, which is really cool, but I have some sort of pull around sups and clothing. So like we had these Overcome the Chaos t-shirts a few years ago, and they just went absolutely ballistic. And everywhere we, you know, it created this sense of community and tribe, and everyone would wear these shirts, and you'd see them every now and then, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, that's a stud right there. Let's go and like talk to him, and it would really bring people together. So I'm thinking that, or some form of supplement, because I just love supplements so much, but I haven't decided which one. But I want to create something physical that when people come and join Set the Standard, they get like a journal, a stub stack, and like a t-shirt, something like that, so they're like, you know, they feel really a part of the community. And yeah, I just love that. 100 plus person event, I really want to do that. Oh my god, I'm so excited to hold the energy of that many people. I just want to like fire that many people up. Like I've got the energy for it, so I want to see that happen. Experiences. I think I want to get a scooter for a while, get in the best shape of my life so I compete again. My vision was waking up on my phone and seeing sales and people reaching out to me, not just me reaching out to them, because that's a signal of like, oh, your content is doing really well and it's doing really good. So that is like the signal of, oh, if I can see that happening, this is, you know, the reality that I'm creating. Achievements and have. That is specific. So it's waking up to new followers, new podcast subscribers. There's people reaching out to be like, hey, I'd like to do a brand deal with you. And it's actually really funny that today I had a pretty decent sized supplement company go, I've been watching your content for ages. How can we collab in some way, shape and form? And I'm like, this is interesting, guys. So the power of microdosing, I'm kidding, it's the power of like getting clear, right? Microdosing is just a tool that helps. Learning and mastery. So I want to go through some points this year where through my podcast or through investing into some sort of coaching tool, I want to learn from some world's leading mentors. I did heaps last year, but this year, like last year was all business. I feel like my business brain is on, but I'd like to learn some new skills and new techniques that I can add on to the ones that I already use. I want to plug on or make mine deeper. Because sometimes the more that I learn, the more that I figure out how powerful the skills and the tools that we've gotten set the standard. And I'm like, do I really need to learn anything else? And the actual answer to that question is no. What we've got works, but I like learning for me because it stimulates me. And if I don't have that stimulation, I get bored. So that's what I want to do. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that one. Then we had to write a letter, right? So that was the bucket list. So there's some things that I have to have happen in the next year or so. Vivid Vision is one for me that I was like, I really want to pull in around about 1,000 people per year involved in leadership activation. Whether this be through my retreats, through my community, through my podcast, through volunteering or something, I really want to be able to say to myself, like this year I've activated 1,000 people into leadership. And from that, it doesn't have to also be me personally. It can be people that I've helped, throughout that year technically. So if I done it last year, it doesn't count, but through this year, if I help someone then activate, 5 to 10 other people, I can take that as like 10 people. But I want to have, be really satisfied with the 1,000 people this year made it impact. It's me through being able to have space throughout the day where, throughout the day, I'm like, I still have space, but there's so much going on behind the scenes, which is very CEO moment in regards to there's profits being made, there's, people in my team are working really well, the systems that we have created are working, and I'm delivering value with what I'm doing whilst I'm sleeping. And I can notice that in my days, I can be very clear with what I want to do and what I want to create and how I want to act and what I want to put out into the world, whilst at the same time, there's a lot happening behind the scenes. And I'm excited to be in the position of also letting go of having to think and worry about all of it and not stress. Because previously for me, this happens, I stress the hell out around this. And I'm like, stuff's going to be around the scenes. Sorry guys. I have to know everything that's going on, what time, what is happening, and just being in the position where there's stuff going on behind the scenes. I don't know everything, but I trust that it's all working. And I know that we've put all the foundations and practices in place that it's happening. Feels really good. It is feeling empowered, noticing that guests are reaching out to be on the podcast. People are reaching out to me. I'm like, that for me just feels so good. I'm like, the attraction and the magnetic pull that I have in person, I want to bring that to online content. So a skill that I have that I like to teach other people is I can just kind of go anywhere. This is a unique superpower. And I plant myself in a scene, a room, a setting, no matter where it is. And people just walk up to me. Like, feminine attention comes to me. Friends come to me. Other coaches and networkers come to me. I don't really do anything. I just rock up to wherever a place is. And it's the energy, it's the posture, it's the look on my face, it's the smile, it's how I talk, it's how I communicate, it's how I laugh, it's how I bring other people together whilst I'm in a space and make people feel calm and connected because I have this security inside myself, which just bring people into my network. Like, it's so insane. And I always meet these amazing people. Like, I'll be chilling in a bathhouse and I'll get, a one-on-one client and I've closed, $10,000 to $20,000 in terms to where we've set up. That's happened multiple times in person. There is people who have connected me with this person to reach this person to get them out on a podcast. You have to talk to this person because you're gonna have an amazing experience somewhere else, or whatever it is. I just meet people and it happens. It's happened since I very first started my coaching business. People just reached out to me. Like, when I very first started, like my introduction to coaching was a 21-year-old multimillionaire reached out to me for fitness coaching, and I was like, I don't do that. He's like, well, what have you got? And I showed him. The next person, I was sitting at a networking event. He just come up to me, started talking, and he's like, whatever you're doing, I want a piece of that. And he ended up to win, Young Entrepreneur of the Year award. Like, it has just happened my whole life, and it's been insane. And I want to use that, but digitally, right? I want that to come through digitally, which I think is authenticity, vulnerability, and really working on, those parts of yourself as a man to express them. The last one is I really want to have a small content entourage, very small, so it's like 1 or 2 people, that come with me everywhere, see my brand and my potential better than I do, and they capture it and distribute it better than I ever would, right? So what that looks like is someone essentially just coming with me who is like family and just like filming everything, which I'm so excited to have that. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Who believes in, you know, my mission as much as I do, because it's one thing that I've been able to create. And it's uncomfortable for me like saying this because it's like owning your power in the moment. So it's like uncomfortable, so like, oh, I've made impact, right? One thing that I've been able to do multiple times is have people reach out to me again to work with me because they believe in the vision and the transformation that we've been creating for people inside Set the Standard. And it's not just me, it's them as well. And whatever the universe is channeling is coming through what we do and allows people to have these crazy transformations. I had one person, and this was like extremely uncomfortable for me, but I lent into it. He was religious and he ended up washing my feet. He's like, dude, I just want to just like give my practice and gratitude to you and just show you that like no matter what, where we go in the future, I've always got your back, like no matter what. And I want to do this. It's like a religious practice and I want to go through and do this. And it was very uncomfortable for me to sit there and have like, you know, just like my feet being washed. And it wasn't like, you know, anything crazy. It was just uncomfortable because I was like, oh wow, this is like someone doing something for you out of like a ceremonial ritualistic act to show them that, you know, they're eternally grateful for the impact that you've had in their life. And that was hard to swallow because it was like, oh my goodness, like I've done a good job. I'm good enough. I am being approved in this moment. So all my trauma and self-doubt just like come flooding in. But to have someone do that and to think about that is like, okay, the power that you've got, what you're teaching, the impact that you're creating is working and people are feeling gratitude around it. So it's like, I would love to have that inspiration for a very, you know, small team for people who can see what is being created in people that's happening for them, and then use like myself and Set the Standard as a medium to be able to have people have that transformation without having to even be near us, right? Where it can just come through where they watch a video, they listen to something, and something that we've taught them or that they've been inspired from us, they've gone and done something. Like I would like to have like so many people use the techniques and tools that we apply and Set the Standard in their own personal life without even coming in and just being like, I can't believe how well this works, right? I can't believe how well this works. So that blew my brain. And then I remember putting that into the vision board. And there was just like some words and things that popped out, which I found, you know, extremely interesting and this was crazy. I'll finish my sentence first. In around team, body, heart, brain, wealth, money, king, like inner king energy, sovereign energy, being healthy, being fit, having people reach out to me, like it all just sort of came together. What was really cool was there was like a scratchy on one of these like things, and it was like, you know, if you get 3 of these things, you win. And like I scratched at the first one when I had the 3 things popped up. I was like, I don't know if they do that for every magazine for these scratchies, but I had to put that out there because I was like, okay, whatever's going on right now is clearly working. And it was really cool to get in. So essentially it's a strong focus on investing, like and actually taking a spiritual practice to saving, investing and living below your means so that you can put, you know, stuff away to create an empire in the future. I had a conversation with a 71-year-old American guy, and he didn't do any investing. And he's like, yeah, I've gotten to this age, I've retired, but I Uber now because I want to make extra money. And I just remember just being like, he had the best energy. And I was like, man, I love this guy. I love his energy. He's so fantastic, but also I don't want to be in that position. I don't want to be in the position where there's not like massive investments that are growing. And it's like, okay, how far away are you from that? 41 years, right? So it's like 40 years away from that. Okay. So 40 years of straight investing is you can create so much wealth in that amount of time. So being really strict on that financial discipline, clarity on what's not serving me, letting go of unnecessary stresses, massive personal, professional aspirations, really creating a movement with what we teach and having an elite social circle, especially for the men in Set the Standard. And I kind of just decided for myself, like I really only kind of want 100 to 200 people in there, and that's it. I think managing 100 would be elite, maybe going to 200 and just keeping it at that, and then like locking the doors. So I'm excited to see how like the energy goes, but it's either that number, 100 or 200, and then we'll lock the doors to Set the Standard, which would be really cool because I just love having that real tight-knit community and seeing how it works, which is super fantastic. And then I put all of that into how I would like to create content, and it was really awesome because we sort of boiled it down into, for the guy who realized that he's not as hard as what he thinks he is. He's like, oh, okay, I've been softening and I want to get back my masculine edge. For the guy who got blindsided in a breakup, because this affects all of this. For the guy who's crushing it in business but feels dead inside. I've done the money, I've done this stuff, but why is nothing still fulfilling? And then for the guy who refuses to be average, he's like, I do not want to be average. Like, there's no way, you know, I want to have the woman, I want to have the relationship, I want to have the business, I want to have the mental clarity, I want to have the consciousness and self-awareness to have deep conversations and do big things and have a life that's grandiose that I feel proud to live in. And all of that, I would not have been able to get that clear, especially with how I felt and how strongly I felt around going through this process, if it wasn't microdosing and in a container where everyone was working on the same thing, because the energy was flowing with people prompting us. So if you guys want to journal more and practice this, feel free to come and join Set the Standard. We got a lot of practices, not on this one, but I can send you my notes if you'd like, so you can like run through what this is. And you can reach out to conscious.mother if you want to go to any of her there's no like paid stuff here. I just think that she's awesome. Go to any of her sessions, and you're around Austin, or if she ever goes to Australia, definitely get around that. And I hope I've motivated you and inspired you to go through journaling process and get clear on this. So that's it, guys. If you liked it, please subscribe, follow, and share with a friend who you think would need to have this. If there's any goals or anything that you resonated with you, please leave a comment below or send me an Instagram DM, because I'd like to know, what we have in common as well. So big love. See you guys in the next one.